We'll move on to reports of standing or ongoing committees.
Mr. President,
Governor Stevens.
if I may ask if I can go first because I have to tend to some other things and I'll just be on my phone.
Absolutely. For Governor Stevens, for the you have two items, or you have three items.
Yes.
You have a Personnel Committee, Diversity Committee, and Equity and Disparity Work Group. Floor is yours.
All right. And I didn't know that I had the Diversity Committee, but that's fine. Tomorrow, the Personnel Committee will be, the Personnel Committee has met, and we will have a presentation for the Board of Governors just regarding the climate survey itself. It'll be a presentation from the person who developed the survey and did the analysis. And then we will hear from the staff through the executive director and her designees on what has been done, as well as just presenting to the Board of Governors our latest thinking regarding recommendation number one, having to do with governance, that we're all kind of talking about, but we'll get into the details tomorrow. So that's personnel. I just wanted to also take this time as well to thank Jean Kang for her service on the Board of Governors, including her last stop as chair and then co-chair of the Personnel Committee. The Equity and Disparity Work Group will be meeting by the end of this month, and so we'll be taking a look at I think we have both work on GR12 as well as work on equitable access to the courts. And so that will be our work coming up. So we'll have a substantive report for you in our plan is for our September meeting. And I'm looking to see. Yeah. All right. Yes. Former Governor Jarman is here, and she's the co-chair. And if I may yield the floor to her to give just an overview update for the Diversity Committee.
Governor Stevens, I'm informed that
Hello.
Hold on. There we go. That's better. Governor Stevens, I'm informed that Governor Angevel has designated Governor Boyd to report on the Diversity Committee.
Okay.
I'm more than happy to open it up also to Judge Jarman, but maybe we'll listen to Governor Boyd first, and then if Judge Jarman has anything else to add, we'll give her the privilege of doing so.
Not a problem for me.
All right, and then
I was just surprised when you said I had a report to give, because I knew that hadn't been an assignment given to me. So
that's just an error. Sorry.
Yeah, you're on the agenda, so I'm just reading the agenda. Was that all of your reports, Governor Stevens?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then we'll turn it over to Governor Boyd, and then again we'll open it up to Judge Jarman if she has anything to add.
Thank you, President Cicchetti. Governor Angevel just asked me to give the update for the Diversity Committee. The Diversity Committee appreciates the opportunity to have presented at the last meeting and wants everyone to know that we have included supplemental materials for this meeting. If anyone has any questions about those materials, you can contact Governor Angevel. She's open to discussing them with everyone and discussing them at the next meeting as well. We also want to thank everyone who attended the joint Board of Governors MBA meeting that we had earlier this week. It was relatively well attended. We were so happy to see that. And we also want to remind everyone that we do have regularly scheduled Diversity Committee meetings. We would love it if everyone attended and encourage attendance. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Boyd. Any questions for either Governor Stevens or, I'm sorry, Judge Jarman, did you have anything to add?
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. President. Nothing other than indicating that yesterday the CLE that the Diversity Committee sponsored with presenters Judge David Keenan and Commissioner Jonathan Lapp from King County Superior Court was a huge success. So we thank those presenters and thank everyone who attended.
Thank you, Judge Jarman. All right, any questions for those two updates?
And well, Mr. President, if I could add just something.
Yeah, Governor Stevens.
Yeah, and that is, I do commend to the board, take a look at the update report, because there were a number of questions at our last meeting, and the questions were kind of focused on what about various groups, and to what extent do you work regarding, and I think the three that were kind of called out was women, persons with disabilities, and LGBTQ. I would encourage people to take a look at that report, because it especially gives I think, comprehensive listing of the various CLEs that have been done on a wide array of topics, including topics in that area. And I would also want to just make a comment that in the context of last month's report, that report was given in the context of what the Supreme Court, I think, directed and encouraged of all of us in terms of the focus on the issues of race and the racial reckoning in this state. And that is the logic on why a lot of the work that was done this past year was done in those areas, not to the exclusion of other areas, but in recognition of what's been set forth for us in regards to the Supreme Court, and actually in regards to the motion that this board passed after the death of George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement. So that's the context for that report.
Thank you, Governor. All right, then let's go back to the top of our list. First up is Executive Committee. We had an Executive Committee meeting, that's been mentioned earlier, where there was a presentation from the Disciplinary Advisory Roundtable. Justice Yu joined us for that meeting and gave a wonderful presentation on the work of that roundtable. We also heard from the Continuing Legal Education Committee as part of the continuing discussions during the Executive Committee to learn more about all of our boards, committees, councils, and roundtables. We also had a presentation from the Personnel Committee regarding the climate survey and then governance issues that we will be discussing further. If I miss anything, Governor Stevens, as Personnel Chair, let me know. And with that, I'll turn it over to Governor Knight for the Apex Awards Committee.
Thank you, President Cicchetti. President Cicchetti has notified all of the winners of the Apex Awards. We're in the process of making the videos, which is one of the best and most dynamic parts of the presentation. And that presentation will be this fall. Like it was last year, it will be live but virtual. And looking forward to celebrating those Apex Award winners.
Thank you, Governor Knight. Next up is the Legislative Committee, Governor Grabicki.
Thank you. Members of the Legislative Committee, along with staff, have for the last several months been working on draft revisions to the legislative policy. We were at the point where we were ready to circulate that to sections for their input and comments. With the publication of the decision in the Fifth Circuit in the Longley case, and the Ninth Circuit's decision with respect to the Oregon Bar and the remand there, General Counsel pointed out that there are significant issues that we need to grapple with before we finalize what we're going to do on any revisions to the legislative policy. And I believe that later in this meeting, General Counsel will be giving the full board a presentation on those issues and their impact on our current posture with respect to the legislative committee and legislative activity. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Grabicki. Ms. Hawkins, do you have a question regarding the legislative committee?
I do, thank you. I'm concerned that this discussion is happening in executive session without the involvement of sections. The structured task force committee that was chaired by then Chief Justice Fairhurst occurred in public, so there could be full exchange of information and full access to information. And now it appears that very serious issues are being discussed in executive session, issues that affect sections without their input or without the knowing what is being said. I don't know why we are having those discussions. I'm not aware that the Supreme Court has asked the Bar Association to have those discussions. I'm not aware that the Supreme Court has asked to revisit their previous decision. So I have a great deal of concern about what's going on.
Thank you, Ms. Hawkins. Governor Grabicki.
The reason that we are going to have a discussion in executive session with General Counsel regarding the Fifth Circuit and Ninth Circuit decisions is pretty simple. It's an anticipation that we could be the next to be sued. So we're going to be talking about potential litigation and our strategy to meet the threats that are implicit in the Fifth and Ninth Circuit decisions. That being said, it's our intention that before we do anything, make any changes, we would first reach out to all involved, especially the sections, and seek their input and have a full discussion with them so that they were knowledgeable in the thought process that had gone on so far, that they had an opportunity to participate and to offer their thought processes on this issue so that we could come to a collegial decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Grabicki. General Counsel Shankland, I saw your hand up. Did you have something to add?
So I just wanted to clarify that. So there's two things going on. There's the comment policy, and then there are legal issues and legal advice surrounding all of these recent decisions. And yes, they are related, but to my understanding, the purpose of the executive session is not to discuss the comment policy directly or changes to the comment policy. That is a policy decision and should and will occur in public, the way I understand it. But there are legal issues and legal advice that needs to be provided to the board that will inform the later conversations. That's how I understand it. And I just wanted to clarify that I think there are two things going on.
Thank you, General Counsel Shankland. We'll move on to the Nominations Review Committee. President-elect Tollefson.
Where's Governor Boyd? I don't know if she wants to give a report or not. I can give it.
Needs.
Or we can share. We can go back.
Yeah, you can start.
Mike.
Hello. Okay, we had a meeting, I believe, on the 17th of August, and made quite a few nominations or appointments. We made appointments to the Board of Bar Examiners, the Character and Fitness Board, the Court Rules and Procedures Committee, the Diversity Committee, the Editorial Advisory Committee, the Small Town and Rural Committee. We nominated for review by, I believe, the Supreme Court, made nominations to the Access to Justice Board, the Limited Practice Board, the Practice of Law Board, the Washington State Bar Association representatives to the Certified Professional Guardianship Board, the Court User Work Group, Courts of Limited Jurisdiction Case Management System Project, Judicial Information Systems Committee, and the OCLA Civil Legal Aid Oversight Committee. Quite a bit of work was done. We did table one. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, we tabled the Access to Justice Board nomination to the next meeting, which I believe will be next month, right?
Yeah, I think our next meeting is in September. And I can add that the rationale for tabling that was there were many applicants to the Access to Justice Board, as it's, I think, one of our most popular boards. And we have approached the Access to Justice Board to ask them for a little more expanded explanation on their rationale as to what their process was in selecting the person that they were putting forward. So we hope that we will get a response. Oh, I'm sure we will get a response from them. And then we will continue that discussion in September.
That's the report.
All right. Thank you, President-elect Collison and Governor Boyd. Next up on our list is the Long Range Strategic Planning Council. We have made appointments of board members to that council. We, at the last meeting, we did have a discussion about size limitation. We may change the charter a bit to put that a size restriction in. We may still have a couple more slots to fill. So that'll be continuing over the next month or so. And then we should have a full council to continue our discussions on long range strategic planning. I do note that the next meeting is scheduled for August 26th at 4 p.m. So encourage people to attend and participate in that exciting venture. Next up is the Member Engagement Work Group, Governor Peterson. Governor-elect Adewale, do you have a question about that? Not, you may be on mute. All right, I will assume we'll circle back with Governor-elect Adewale. Governor Peterson.
Yeah, this continues to be a wonderful and fun work group to be part of. I want to especially call out Director Nagowski's help in terms of getting, we're doing a survey, and she's been very helpful in terms of directing us and getting that survey to a place where I think we should be able to launch some sort of survey. And then, another month or two, we want to make sure we get it right before we do it. But this survey is really going to be great because it's going to be 4 times a year, and we're going to have some baseline questions so we can see whether we're improving in some critical areas or unfortunately maybe not improving and maybe getting worse in other areas. And doing this survey 4 times a year gives us the flexibility to really ask the members about maybe hot button issues or maybe other issues that we're thinking of where we may not want to do a quarterly check-in, but we would want some input from the members. So I'm very excited about that. And once again, thanks to Director Nagowski for spearheading that and getting that moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Governor Peterson. Next is the Budget and Audit Committee. I've received a message from Governor Clark. There's no separate treasurer update today, but that we will discuss financial and budget WSBA matters tomorrow during the budget and license fee discussions. So we'll look forward to that. Governor-elect Adewale.
Sorry, I just want to go back to the Access to Justice Board nomination issue. And I wanted to ask for clarification from Governor Boyd. Does it mean that whenever there are more applications for any board or commissions that we need to now provide the process for the for making the nomination. I ask this because this is going to delay the Supreme Court, because your recommendation is our recommendation is to you and then to the Supreme Court. Somebody's ruling off the board. I believe Judge Laura Badley is has done the normal 2-term and she could no longer serve. But now this request is for us to provide the process upon which applications is made. This request is not made of any other commissions or board, but just because we have more applications so that we know now for future purposes, so that the board, the ATJ board knows that because we have way more applicants than any other board, that we have to provide the process when we are sending in the application, the nominations to the board. Is that the new process that the Board of Governors is asking us to comply with? Because we didn't know that. If we had known that, we would have provided you this information, because this is going to delay the work of the board.
Governor Boyd.
Thank you. And I understand the concerns. I don't think that the Access to Justice Board is the first time that the Nominations Committee has gone back and asked for more information. I don't have the other instances off the top of my head, but I could find them for you, Governor-elect. I do I understand the concerns about delaying the work of the Access to Justice Board, and I think that that's very unfortunate. Of course, I don't want to be delaying any work of any of the committees or boards. And I think we're in discussions about maybe the way that the Nominations Committee would prefer that the information comes to us when we're asking to confirm nominations. But at the same time, I don't think that the Nominations Committee needs to, or should, that the role of the Nominations Committee should just be to look at who the person that was nominated is and pass that forward without having a full understanding of the process. I think that just does away with the purpose of the Nominations Committee, and we might as well be having boards and committees submitting nominations directly to the Supreme Court at that point, which I just think it removes the purpose of the Nominations Committee. So we would like to have a little bit more active role and just to have a little bit better understanding of the process. And I think we've asked this of other boards and committees in the past.
Not to my knowledge, this is the second time the nomination committee is asking for this. I'm not asking you not to do not to play your role. What I'm asking is, should we take this as a given? So that will you let us know that every time we are making nominations, sending nominations to you, that we combine it with our process. If we had known that, we would have submitted that process to you. But this is the second time since for the last 25 years that this particular Board of Governors has requested for this. We just wanted to know for future purposes that you are going to be requiring this of us so that we provide that. And I don't know of any other board or commissions where you have asked for this. I've looked at the record over and over again, but this has been particular for ATJ board, and it has only been in the last 2 nominations.
And so Governor-elect Adewale, I do, as former President-elect and on the Nominations Committee, I do remember asking other organizations for more information in the past. And like Governor Boyd, I can't remember the exact board or committee or council or whoever it was, but it's not unprecedented. We have done that in the past when we think we haven't had enough information. But I appreciate your concerns. Governor Boyd, did you have anything to add?
No, nothing to add. I don't want to speak for the entire Nominations Committee right now without having discussed it with them, but I will tell you that we did have a discussion at our last meeting, indicating the desire to have more information about process from everyone who's submitting nominations to us, if that gives you any direction or guidance for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Boyd and Governor-elect Adewale. Executive Director Nevitt.
Well, you and Governor Boyd sort of said it, so I don't really need to belabor the point. I do know that there's some precedent for other entities being asked for additional information. I also wanted to just add that, I think for many years and probably before my time, there's been discussions about what is the role of the committee, and if they're to have a meaningful role in appointments, what information do they need? And I think, it's important, though, that we give the entities a heads up in advance about what information they need. So I know that Paris Erickson, who's the staff liaison to that committee, has been working with the co-chairs and the committee to look through sort of their processes and guidance so that we can be a little bit clearer and more transparent about what information they need so that nobody gets delayed and certainly no entity feels like it's being singled out.
Thank you, Executive Director Nevitt. All right, we're going to move on to the last item under reports on standing and ongoing committees, which is the Supreme Court Bar Licensure Task Force. Governor Williams-Ruth.
Thank you, Mr. President. This month's meeting of the Bar Licensure Task Force was canceled due to attendance, but between the last meeting and now, we have created 8 subcommittees. They are research and data, alternates to the exam, lawyer competencies, reciprocity, general equity concerns, the NCBE study, history of the bar exam, and overall ethics and character and fitness applications to admission. The chairs for those subcommittees have not yet been determined, but I would encourage everyone that did reach out and constituent connections regarding our bar licensure resolution back in the spring to please reach out to those individuals again and let them know that these subcommittees are being formed. Give them my bar email, or I should say the email I use for bar business, so I can make sure to connect them with appropriate, for people who have issues like if their issue is competency or just alternates to the exam, we'll be able to connect them with the individual subcommittees, as those will be having meetings outside of the monthly full task force meeting, just so that way, again, it's a continuing conversation with as many people wanting to voice their individual thoughts on specific issues, because this list of 8 subcommittees actually was whittled down from a brainstorming list of probably nearly 20. And there's a lot of components that go into what this task force is doing. So I continue to enjoy the service on this, and I thank Justice Montoya Lewis for her service as co-chair. And actually just chair now. Her co-chair was Dean Rooksby from Gonzaga Law, and he had to step aside for personal reasons. And we're having our next scheduled meeting the 3rd Monday of September at 10 a.m. And again, the information is on the court's website, and that's all. Those are always open to the public as well. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Governor Williams-Ruth. Your president is doing a lousy job of meeting management. We're about 24 minutes behind at this point. The next item is the treasurer election. But before we do that, let's take a quick 7-8 minute break and then come back and we'll start with the treasurer election. Thank you.